Get your barf bags ready because there's some nasty ass shit ahead. The Spore is brought to us by director D.M. Cunningham and stars Jenny Jeffries, Haley Haslip, and Peter Tell. Now this movie is kinda sorta like an anthology film, in the sense that it is a collection of stories about different people over the same amount, or at least around the same amount of time during a pandemic. And all these stories do interweave and intersect at some point in time during the runtime of the film. Now this pandemic that's going on in this one, it involves, you guessed it, a spore. And this spore is pretty bad news, man. You get it on you and you're just kind of fucked. This thing is fucking disgusting. Like, people get like boils and pus pockets and shit growing out of their skin and all kinds of stuff, and even some people end up going crazy and kind of getting like that rage disease and being sort of like zombie. Pussy, funky, nasty, crusty zombie. If you don't like fungus and pussy, gooey, oozy, nasty things, then you probably want to skip this movie because it's pretty nasty. Lots of body fluids. And all of those effects are practical and they look great in that nasty, oozy, funky kind of way, especially for a movie with such a low budget. Although there is one effect, and it is kind of a big effect itself and in the actual movie, like the narrative, that it doesn't look so great. It seems like with this one, they kind of overextended themselves and it does stick out a good bit. The actual thing that we see on screen could look okay. I think it's more of how much we see it and the way that it's framed. Had that been done differently, it would look better. But as it stands, it comes across as a bit goofy. The first half of this film is definitely the better half of the film. It involves the better performances, the better story beats, and more mystery than the second half. That being said, none of the segments in this movie are necessarily bad, but some of them, especially in the second half, don't seem like they have much of a purpose. Most of the segments are interesting at least, but the narrative just never really takes off. There are some interesting bits, but it never really goes anywhere. You don't really feel like you just watched a movie, you feel more like you just watched a collection of low-budget shorts on YouTube, which nothing against low-budget shorts on YouTube, I love them, but this is a movie, so we expect just a bit more. All that coupled with the fact that the end of the movie is a bit anticlimactic, and what you end up with is that the narrative is a bit weak. The performances are kind of hit or miss as well. Some of them are actually pretty good. Now others are a bit amateurish. That being said, there's only about one or two that ever really pull you out of the whole thing, and overall, I guess everybody did a fine enough job. I do think that this movie was trying to have a topical message, and while I appreciate that it never felt forced upon me, I did feel like that they did want there to be a message. There was supposed to be something that I was getting, but they just never conveyed it very well. And while I don't need my movies to have a message, when the movie sets itself up to say, hey, we have a message, but you don't have a very clear vision of what that message is, it comes across as a bit hollow. Guys, The Spore was better than I expected, but on the flip side of that, it wasn't a very satisfying movie-going experience. It has some interesting ideas, and the effects are great in that kind of nasty practical way, but the narrative just never takes off and feels a bit lost, and by proxy, you the viewer feel a bit lost as well. While this isn't a terrible movie, I just don't think it's gonna connect with a lot of people, so if you really want to see it, then check it out at best on USA Up All Night.
It's not worth it!
Hi, I'm Gilbert Gottfried.
Hi, it's Miranda on USA.
It's okay. It's just not worth it!
I wanted to like this movie, and there were things about it that I did like, but the narrative just didn't go anywhere. It's nasty as fuck, I'll give it that much, so if that's your thing and you just don't really care about narrative much, then check out The Spore one night and you'll have a pretty disgusting time at least. So there it is, guys, my review of The Spore. If you enjoyed and want more content like this, hit that subscribe button and help my little channel grow. If you want to help out my channel, check out my Patreon in the description below and become a jarhead and get some of the awesome benefits that go along with that, like these guys, and possibly join my top tier and become a bad motherfucker like my man Greg. If you liked what I had to say, give me a like. If not, let me know in the comments below why. And as always, stay sexy, Des Moines.
Kill me.
Now, all narratives aside, this movie is really nasty and the effects look really good, but like I said, in a really nasty way. Like, they got like boils and pimples and just pus pockets and holes in them, and they're like shooting fluids out. Ugh. I mean, I got a body fluid thing. I do not like body fluids. I don't like them getting on people. I mean, some of them are okay. But overall, other body fluids that come out of like pockets and shit, I don't like that shit. It's really nasty. It grosses me out. Snot, all that. Ugh. But this movie is all in. Like, there's like parts where it's like shooting out of people's bodies, out of their mouths, and like holes, and it's like going in people's mouths, and oh my god, it's fucking disgusting.